here today to talk to you about Google Classroom because that is my preferred method of communicating with students because it integrates so seamlessly with the Google apps that myself and all of my students are using. As you can see, I already have 3 classrooms set up, one for each of my English classrooms, and I use them all the time. And here we are currently working on passion projects and Googlios and resume writing. So rubrics and attached assignments are here. For example, this one, portrait plan, I drew on the whiteboard. So I took a picture of it and uploaded it to save it because it was something I didn't do on the computer. Something I also use this for is the class comments. So this was a presentation students had to do, and they had to have 3 slides. So they just attached their presentation slide deck here as a file that anyone with the link could view. And that way when we were presenting, we could just open the presentations one after the other in Classroom to save time with students logging in. It also means that I can go back and check the presentations later when I'm finalizing their grades. And that's really helpful because sometimes presentations fly by and I just need to check something. So I use Classroom all the time. So for this assignment, I wanted to challenge myself. So in the research, I started to realize that recently Google Classroom has started changing the way that it's created. And I'm not sure all of the coding terms for that. And anyway, many third-party apps and websites are now fully integratable, if that's a word, with Classroom. So one of the ones I was exploring today is Quizlet. So Quizlet is this website right here, and I signed up for a free account, which you can just sign up with your Google Drive account, and it gave me a random username, which you could change, but I've just left it. And what Quizlet does is it allows you to create flashcards and quizzes and things for kids that they can play with and to help them study or learn a concept or prepare for a test. And we will be studying Romeo and Juliet when we go back after March break. So I thought it would be a good idea just to play around with creating some background information about Romeo and Juliet that they'll need to know before we continue with our unit. And what I did here, and I can show you if you go to edit, was I just created some questions and answers for background information. So under the definition, I've got what genre of play is Romeo and Juliet, and I put in the answer tragedy. And you can put in as many as you want. You can add images with the free version as long as it's an image that's in Quizlet. And it's funny, I needed theater masks, and they had a stock image of theater masks, which was great, so I didn't need to buy anything. And then you can hit done. And then what will happen is when students get this quiz, they can learn, they can spell, they can have a test. So for example, I could say, I would like you to go to flashcards here, and they'll open up the flashcards, and I could give them some time to study. So what's the setting of Romeo and Juliet, Verona, Italy? So they could sort of look at these questions. You could do this with background information. You could do it at the end of a unit as review. You could do it as you go, and you could even have students add questions to Quizlet. You can have them write a test. So you can go to test here and it will give them the test with the answers. So they just have to type the answers to the questions that you've created. Kind of cool. You can have them match. The matching game I found might be more useful even than the flashcards, especially because I teach grade 8. So what you need to do is drag things together. So I would look, so it says, what genre of play is Romeo and Juliet? It's a tragedy. So I will match it with tragedy and then it leaves. What do the shape of the mouths and traditional theater masks represent? The plot lines of comedies and tragedies. Join them together and they disappear. So that's a fun one, and it times you, which could be a bit stressful, but I would never do this as a final assessment. And then the other one, gravity, I find very stressful, but it's kind of fun. I'll show you how it works. It's a game, and you can change, do you want the term, the definition, or do you want them to come down randomly? But I've done the definition as the question, so I want them to start with the definition and go, let's go, and you start the game, and what will happen is the question will fall down. So Shakespeare wrote comedies and tragedies, what 2 other genres? Histories and romances. And you're supposed to do it before it gets to the bottom. And this is where I just learned something. In romances, I had a heart as my O. So it's not recognizing it. So that's something that I need to correct. But I know this one is a tragedy. And so it said the correct answer. So that's obviously something that I've learned I cannot do is use emoticons in the words because the students would need to use that. But as I said, I wouldn't use the gravity one because I find it a little stressful to have the asteroids crashing down on me. Anyway, what I wanted to show you about this is the cool thing is that it's integratable with Classroom. So if you just saw what I did, I clicked on the share And you can share this directly to Google Classroom. So I don't even need to get a link that posts. It will go into my classroom and it says, what class do you want to share this with? I would want to share it with all of my classes, but I could pick one and then reuse that post in Classroom and choose the action. I'm not going to make it an assignment because there's nothing for them to hand in, and I don't want my students to get messages saying they have late assignments. It's not a question because I'm not asking them for an answer. It's just an announcement with a link, and I'm going to say go, and I can call this Romeo and Juliet pretest, and I could even say open this Quizlet and play the matching game. See how well you do. And then I can say, no pressure, this is just for fun. Which would be a good thing to do the first time they use Quizlet. No topic, I'm gonna have to create a topic. I don't have a topic in Classroom yet for Romeo and Juliet, so I'm going to add one, and that way it's searchable by tag. And then I've posted it to the class and I can view it. And once it's here, the students will then see it. So students at home right now will be seeing this, so I may need to delete this until I'm ready to go. And then the cool thing is what I can do here is I can reuse the post if I want to and share it to my other two classes. Sorry, that went too quick. So I can go reuse post and I could select the pretest and I could reuse that with my other two classes. So I could choose 8C, 8A and reuse it with all of them, but I'm not going to because I'm not going to do that. So that's how to use Quizlet with Classroom, and we should be looking at a lot of these extensions that now have this share to classroom functionality in them because more and more apps and online tools are using it. So thought I'd share that with you, and thanks for listening.